Now, PCs have been powering enterprise workers for the last several decades. We've seen the evolution from desktop to laptop PCs, and more recently, employees have embraced tablets, smartphones, and cloud-based apps. So it's easy to think that we've hit peak productivity. But the truth is we haven't, and we're only just starting a new era of work. Now, mobile first has been the mantra of forward-thinking businesses for some time, but mobile only may soon become the norm for modern workforces looking for that extra edge. Samsung DeX is on the leading edge of this transformation. Over the next hour, we'll be discussing how this mobile-first future can unfold and how you can get ahead of the curve. But first, we'll talk about why your business should go mobile-only today, and then we'll give you a snapshot of what the Samsung DeX platform is and how it works. We'll get down to the nitty-gritty of how to plan a mobile-only initiative with Galaxy smartphones and Samsung DeX. We'll move on to best practices and how to get around common sticking points like the Windows-only applications that your business relies on. And then we'll finish up by talking about cost savings and benefits of making the change and a few examples of where DeX would benefit you the most. So a little bit about me. I'm a veteran enterprise tech journalist for places including Computer World, Reuters, ZDNet, and others. In particular, some of you might have read my blog, Uber Mobile, on ZDNet and Forbes. It was the first blog dedicated 100% to covering the enterprise mobility revolution. I've also been on the vendor side helping spread the word about enterprise mobility and mobile security for SAP Mobile, BlackBerry, Avaya, and now as a contributing writer for Samsung. You can read my writing for Samsung at the Samsung business blog called Insights, including the Introduction to DeX white paper that I helped write. The link to that white paper will be at the end of this presentation. Let's start with a little background that I'm sure we're all familiar with. Every decade in recent memory has introduced a new era of computing. The 1980s were all about the PC. The 1990s brought us email, online shopping, and the full force of the Internet, while the 2000s saw the rise of social media, YouTube, and the rest of Web 2.0. And in parallel with these changes, the form factor of our primary computing devices has evolved, from desktop PCs to early laptops that they used to call luggables, to today's sleeker, lighter weight notebooks. Well, the 2010s are coming to a close, and it's clear that the shift to mobile computing has dominated this decade. Tablets have started to replace single-purpose computing systems, while smartphones have become ubiquitous business tools in virtually every industry. In fact, surveys show that a quarter of your workers believe that their phone could replace their PC entirely in the next few years, and 14% are already using it as their primary computing device. Even more will believe it will happen in the next 5 years. So practically speaking, what that means is that your employees will be spending more time actually producing work and less time switching between workstations, refocusing during interruptions, or struggling with IT issues. So based on this trajectory, mobile only is the answer. But let's be clear, going mobile only does not mean simply dumping your laptop for any old smartphone. Do that and you'll hurt the very workers you're trying to empower. They'll lose access to mission-critical apps, be less productive and less secure, and create more work for you and the rest of your IT administrators. What you need is a smartphone that actually bridges the smartphone and PC, enabling workers to be equally productive while consuming and creating content, while in the office and on the go, giving them access to all of their key applications, whether they are for PC, in the cloud, or for mobile. And that's what Samsung Galaxy smartphones with DeX provide. The DeX platform was introduced with the Galaxy S8 in early 2017. If you are on this webcast, you probably already know this, but DeX enables Samsung smartphones to connect with an external monitor, keyboard, and mouse to provide a full desktop computing experience, and all from the smartphone. Over the last 18 months, Samsung has evolved DeX significantly. With the latest devices, such as the Galaxy Note 9 and the Galaxy Tab S4, you no longer need the DeX station to connect to the monitor. Just an HDMI cable is all you need. So in short, DeX lets your workers turn any space into a workspace. We'll talk more about DeX, but for now, let's talk about the 10 reasons why your enterprise should be thinking hard about going mobile only with DeX-enabled smartphones. Reason number 1, your workers are already going mobile. Here are some of the facts. According to IDC, 3/4 of U.S. workers will be mobile by 2020. Let's take a look at the flex working trend. According to surveys, 15 million U.S. office workers already use co-working spaces. And 43% say that the ability to flex work, work remotely, and work on the go, that's a must-have for them. Now, reason number 2, your employees prefer mobile. According to a GfK study in 2017, mobile workers say that they can get 50% of their work done with only the phone. 62% of those workers said they'd be willing to, quote, give up their PC entirely if they could connect a smartphone to a monitor, keyboard, and a mouse. That's from the same GfK study. And from another survey by Harvard Business Review Analytics Services, 55% of executives said that the kind of technology that the company uses influences whether applicants will accept job offers with that company or not. Reason number 3, your business is already heavily invested in enterprise mobility. Chances are your company has already adapted and supports enterprise mobility in a major way. This can include investing in mobile devices, MDM or EMM software, and apps and processes such as stipends for personal smartphones used for work, or, most likely, all of the above. Now, reason number 4 why you should go mobile only today, BYOD is only a Band-Aid solution. BYOD, or bring your own device, is a short-term solution where you allow your employees mobile devices at work, but PCs firmly remain the centerpiece. This is actually a legacy strategy that lowers your security, increases your management complexity, and actually costs the enterprises more. The better way is an enterprise-led mobile strategy such as Choose Your Own Device, or CYOD, or Company-Owned Personally Enabled, COPE. Issuing mobile devices to employees becomes a firm commitment to a mobile future and will reduce your management time and overall cost. Reason number 5, supporting both PCs and smartphones will strain any IT budget as well as your enterprise resources. So according to a Gartner study from 2013, the total cost of ownership for PCs in a company ranges from $6,685 per year, and that's for a highly secured and managed laptop. And it goes all the way up to $9,595 per year for an unsecured laptop. Why is it so high? The price of the hardware is only a tiny part of the cost. You know, there's the device configuration, deployment, repairs, and support, as well as software licenses and user training. You all have to consider these. And that vastly outweighs the hardware purchase price. And that's even truer the longer you hold on to that desktop or laptop computer, because the cost of supporting, maintaining, and the cost of lost worker productivity, that just goes up over time, the longer you hold that computer. So by comparison, a 2018 study by Oxford Economics that was commissioned by Samsung found that the annual total cost of ownership per employee for a corporate-issued smartphone was just $909 per year for a mid-sized company of about 500 employees. That includes everything, including the contract and the connectivity and support. So while the methodologies of the two studies differ, it's clear that the cost of outfitting employees with PCs is much greater than it is for smartphones. Reason number 6, mobile technology has really reached a tipping point. So forget about the statistic about how today's smartphones are more powerful than the mainframes that landed men on the moon or even supercomputers from 2 decades ago. Today's smartphones, because they're upgraded so often, it's very likely that your employees are carrying a phone with just as much computing power as their current PC. Basically, smartphone processor power, storage, and screen size, as well as the work anywhere capabilities such as Samsung DeX, mean that turn any space into a workspace is really a reality, and that's a reality today. Reason number 7, your software vendors are also moving to mobile. And they're doing it for the same reasons that you are. They don't want to support legacy Windows apps where the actual number of users is shrinking really fast. And they want to invest in cutting-edge mobile apps because the user interfaces are easier and more intuitive, and their users actually like them better. Reason number 8, your vendors are also moving to the cloud. Now, mobile and cloud, these are parallel trends, but they also work together. Each of them makes the other better. Storing apps and data in a central cloud is easier to secure and update, and mobile devices, like smartphones, are the perfect gateway to this cloud. This means that there's a fundamental shift in computing needs away from physical on-premise storage and towards securing the connection to cloud and software as a service applications. Reason number 9, going mobile only reduces IT's burden. As any IT veteran knows, supporting PCs is a complicated, time-consuming, and costly process. Having to devote your skilled IT admins to PCs keeps your entire department constantly looking back to the past, when they would actually rather focus on future innovations. As we enter the 2020s, it's time to welcome innovation and jump into mobile-only computing and let go of legacy technology that holds enterprises back. And finally, reason number 10, going mobile only unifies the user experience and boosts productivity. So rather than training employees to carry multiple devices with different interfaces, applications, and data sources, you can give them one powerful smartphone that does it all with the help of a few key peripherals, of course. Now, smartphones translate to huge productivity gains. 34% or 2 hours per day, according to a Frost & Sullivan study commissioned by Samsung. So investing in mobile with focus gives you the opportunity to drive even more productivity gains. Also, according to a 2017 survey by the UK think tank, the Future Laboratory, 87% of business leaders agree that collaborative mobile tools unlock flexibility and employee productivity. So what's the ideal mobile-only setup for employees? Well, it needs to be powerful, have a long-lasting battery, and be able to run a variety of apps, and of course, be built with mobile only as a priority. A Galaxy smartphone, such as the S9 or the Note 9, powered by DeX, checks all of these boxes. This lets workers create an intuitive desktop experience whenever they're in front of a monitor, keyboard, and mouse. You can open multiple apps and windows at once with DeX. It's that powerful. And the user experience is really familiar with drag and drop and right-click functionality on your mouse. On the keyboard, you have all the standard shortcuts. In fact, your mobile and content are all right there since you're working on your phone. And we'll discuss this later, but many of your key mobile apps are already optimized for DeX. And notifications like text messages will pop up in the notifications bar, and you'll be able to authenticate to apps and accounts using the biometric sensor on your smartphone. Web-based apps run great in the DeX-optimized internet browser, and as we'll discuss in depth, VDI clients allow you to access any legacy Windows apps that aren't being migrated. With the newest devices like the Galaxy Note 9 or the Galaxy Tab S4 tablet, DeX is even more powerful. First, you only need an HDMI cable. No DeX station or pad is needed. And desktop formatting of icons and the screen is even more natural and optimized. You also get dual mode, so your phone can still be used as a phone while it's powering DeX. It's a fully independent second screen. From there, you can control presentations, jot down notes with a stylus, control music, send IMs and emails, etc. Now let's get into the real focus of this webinar, how you can take your business or team mobile only with Samsung DeX. It's relatively easy for a consumer to switch mobile devices or PCs, but not so for businesses. If something breaks for an employee, it will probably break for all the employees, and that can mean thousands of dollars in lost productivity or sales. Also, mobile only is a transformation. It's not a trivial deployment. So you'll need determination and meticulous planning. Samsung has been working with many business customers, both large enterprises and small, medium-sized companies, on DeX pilots and full deployments. In this section, I'll share with you some of the best practices that they've learned. Step 1 is to incorporate your key decision makers. Mobile-only strategies require really strong management buy-in. If IT pushes a mobile-only strategy without the support of key stakeholders, the move is more likely to be dismissed as risky or unnecessary. When the direction comes from the C-suite at the top of the organization, all of the line of business managers will see this as part of company strategy, not just some independent IT initiative. Your mobile-only adoption campaign has to be organized and persuasive. The CIO, the IT, and information security teams all play a key role in developing this strategy. It's their job to help decision makers throughout the organization understand what can and can't be done, what the latest developments in mobile technology are, and what the advantages to the organization will be. Mobile-only approaches to end-user computing are out of the box for many organizations, so having both line of business leaders and IT visionaries at the table at the same time gets things moving in the right direction. Step 2 is to take a phased approach. As with any major IT initiative, shifting to a mobile-only workforce has to happen group by group, and each successive onboarding should take place only once the previous group is successful. Business leaders or CIOs pushing the shift away from PCs to Samsung DeX on smartphones and tablets, those should be early adopters themselves. Groups that have shifted can become enthusiastic evangelists for a mobile-only approach to computing. And this moves mobile-only from a management push to end-user demand, a key success factor. So, who should you start with? There are specific user groups inside your company that would be excellent first adopters for Samsung DeX. Some of the obvious low-hanging fruit include employees that are very mobile, or work remotely, or work in the branch offices. Here's another group, groups that collaborate a lot using tools such as voice and video conferencing and are very mobile within their corporate campus. This could include high-level strategists, managers, and marketing folks. Here's another group, people that have a lot of contact with customers. This could include salespeople, but also pre-sales and post-sales folks, and your field service teams. Finally, there are workers who are high-knowledge consumers but don't create a lot of data themselves. These could be customer service people and front-of-house staff who can get a lot done and done better using Galaxy smartphones while they're on the go, and turn to DeX if they need to sit down and actually create some content. Now, every major IT deployment naturally has its challenges. Going mobile only is no exception. That's why careful planning, testing, and pilot rollouts, they're all so important. Now, the biggest challenge, of course, is naturally what to do with your applications. In fact, you may be holding back on embracing mobile in part because you see this as a major roadblock. This roadblock being your company's reliance on some long-existing, non-standard, but business-critical Windows applications that can't be immediately ported to mobile. These Windows applications don't need to be a roadblock. While it can feel difficult to let go of them, at this point it just makes sense. First thing you should do is an overall inventory of all the applications your company relies on. Classify them according to trivial and replaceable and what's business critical. There are 3 key types of apps, and each will require a slightly different approach. First you have mobile, then you have web or cloud-based, and finally you have the native Windows applications. Now, mobile apps are, of course, the easiest. They're the ones that your company already uses, that they're optimized for Android, and they use technology such as OneDrive, Skype, or Cisco WebEx. Web-based apps are almost as good. These are applications that can run directly from your browser and function similarly to a native app. They include Adobe Advertising Cloud and Selenium. Finally, there are some pieces of software that are native to Windows and have no equivalent versions on mobile or web. This means you can only access them if you're running the Windows operating system or using VDI, aka Virtual Desktop Infrastructure. After you take this inventory, you'll probably discover that not as many of your critical business functions and processes rely on totally native Windows apps, less than you thought. So without realizing it, many of your key business functions have already become available as a mobile application or through a web browser, meaning you can already access them from any device, PC, tablet, or smartphone. Now this slide has a nice chart of applications that are already optimized for Samsung DeX. The fact is that many of your core business applications already are optimized. They support features such as keyboard shortcuts, drag and drop, and right-click mouse functions. Yeah, take a look at this chart and you can see the breadth of apps available. They include Microsoft Office, Adobe Photoshop Express, and Lightroom CC, and Adobe Acrobat. This list is just going to expand. You can already optimize your own customized applications for DeX simply and easily. Just contact Samsung to find out how. Now, many native Windows apps already have Android counterparts today, or they've already been moved to the cloud. Microsoft has done a particularly good job with porting their apps, but so have Adobe, Citrix, and other vendors. So what if your applications only do Windows? It's really not the showstopper you might think it is. There is a solution, VDI, aka Virtual Desktop Infrastructure. Now, VDI environments, and you think of software like Citrix Receiver, Amazon Workspace, and VMware Horizon, these are the ideal solution for these kind of pesky apps because A, your enterprise may have some form of VDI already installed and operating. B, that VDI environments already solve problems of data storage and backup, and they do it really easily. Also, a VDI environment will require a lot less retraining for your users as they transition away from traditional PCs to smartphones. VDI can be a permanent bridge or until your applications are ported or replaced with mobile cloud replacements. As you scale out DeX, you have the choice to use VDI fully as a tool to access just a few specific apps or somewhere in between, and you can alter that as you go. Effectively, a combination of DeX and VDI gives employees training wheels as they get used to the new system, which can play a crucial part in ensuring that productivity doesn't flag during rollout. And now, companies without an existing VDI deployment, they could consider a cloud-based VDI product, such as Amazon Workspaces, rather than a full on-premise VDI system. So here are 6 smart questions that you should ask during your DeX deployment. Because moving to mobile only is not just about the smartphone, it's about your overall infrastructure and strategies. So the first question is, do you have an effective CYOD or COPE program in place for smartphones? Enterprises should revisit their CYOD and COPE policies to ensure that they cover expanded use and a larger population of users. If you're still on BYOD, you should be looking towards moving towards CYOD or COPE if that's not already happening. Question number 2, is your support team ready for more smartphones and fewer desktop PCs? Your help desk may need to shift resources or get training as device populations shift. If you outsource your support, you may need additional time or also renegotiate your contracts as this shift occurs. Question number 3, does your IT team have a solid MDM and EMM solution ready to go? MDM and EMM tools are critical to managing large numbers of smartphones. You'll need to take a look at your licenses and infrastructure, and it's possible that a different tool will be required if what you're using is considered an MDM Lite, and that's all you've got right now. Question number 4, are your developers ready to dive into mobile applications? Thin browser-based clients are a common starting point, but enterprises who want to take full advantage of the power of a mobile-only strategy will want to shift their application development from browsers to mobile platforms. Question number 5, is your VDI ready for more users and a full desktop replacement? Currently, most VDIs are set up for specific troublesome applications, such as thick clients, or for only occasional desktop replacement. So if you're planning to shift a lot of your applications over to VDI onto your mobile devices, this may require changes to how you synchronize your profiles, how you back up software, and also plan your capacity. And finally, question number 6, is your network infrastructure ready for VDI? VDI running over a wired Ethernet is fairly straightforward. But VDI over Wi-Fi should trigger a technology audit because you need to make sure your Wi-Fi can handle all that additional throughput, all that additional networking. So if your Wi-Fi is not engineered and secured properly, you may increase your risks significantly. So just make sure to configure Samsung Knox to force DeX to trigger over Ethernet. Or you can leverage the Knox API and limit the usage of Samsung DeX to Ethernet only, again, if this is a concern. So here are 3 ways to optimize your Samsung DeX rollout, because you don't want to just make it a good rollout, you want to make it great. So the first area is in device management. Your MDM or EMM software and tools need to be able to manage smartphones as well as Samsung DeX specific configuration information. Now this can require software updates to handle the new Knox/DeX APIs, as well as added functions specifically for DeX management, control, and monitoring. The second area is in the area of biometrics and single sign-on. Samsung Galaxy phones and tablets all have biometric authentication capabilities, and these go beyond simply unlocking the phone, and these can actually add layers of security as you need. IT managers should investigate using these capabilities to speed up and simplify application authentication and deliver a single sign-on to DeX users. The third area of optimization is using Knox Platform for Enterprise. Now, separating the content on your smartphone between the work content and the home and consumer content is even more important when it's the primary tool for all enterprise applications for your employee. So IT managers should establish a closely managed container using Knox Platform for Enterprise so that they can create the same security profile on smartphones that they've designed into their enterprise desktop PCs. So here's a nice slide showing what your final DeX desktop will look like. You can see here, first, your webcams for video conferencing no longer need to be provided because all your Samsung DeX compatible mobile devices have front and back-facing cameras. With Samsung DeX, your smartphone or tablet can also be used as a touchpad or paired with a drawing stylus for users who want this additional capability. Your headphones will connect using Bluetooth, or they can plug directly into your phone's headphone jack. You'll still need some key peripherals. You'll need to connect an existing USB keyboard and mouse to the multi-port adapter, or use a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse paired to your smartphone. Now, in terms of monitors, users can connect to their existing HDMI-capable monitor using the Samsung HDMI adapter. It's important to note that DeX does not support ultra-high definition resolutions, though. Now, you'll want to measure the success of your DeX deployment. The successful approach to going mobile only involves building internal pilots with larger and larger groups. This cultivates strong user acceptance by showing both team and total enterprise value. After all, achieving success means measuring each pilot from both points of view, both the enterprise, management, and the end user. And while the enterprise gains, end users also need to benefit from all updates. Existing functionality of what the users use should either be unaffected or actually enhanced, along with new features available for them through their mobile devices. And these features could include improved collaboration through voice and video, or other features that allow them more flexibility and more autonomy and productivity. Now, cost savings used to be something that IT only cared about, but in fact today, many lines of businesses, they actually own that budget for the technology that their workers use. So it's going to be a win for both sides. So some of the transitional costs you'll need to think about are moving to the new phones, and these, in this case, would be the cost of purchasing the Galaxy S8, S8 Plus, the Note 8 or 9, or the S9, S9 Plus phones, if you don't already have those. Then second, you'll have to get DeX accessories, such as the adapters if you're using the older phones, or say a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse. But the savings are really going to outweigh these transitional costs. you're going to be able to eliminate the cost of purchasing laptop computers. You're going to eliminate the cost of managing these laptop or desktop computers. And finally, you'll be able to eliminate the cost of supporting and keeping up these desktop applications. Now, there are many good reasons why going mobile only is going to save your enterprise a lot of money. Windows has evolved tremendously over the last 25 years, but it's still a lot of work for IT managers. There's a huge infrastructure of tools that IT managers typically need to have if they want to manage their Windows desktops securely. They've got to build golden master CDs and deploy them. They have to manage a whole raft of applications, many of them legacy and old. They've got thousands of configuration points that they need to customize, as well as they need to monitor and report on every single tool and process. So that's a lot of IT time and cost and overhead that's involved. Now, meanwhile, smartphones and MDM and EMM tools that manage these smartphones, they've benefited from the lessons of Windows systems management. Enterprises already have MDM and EMM tools in place to handle CYOD or COPE programs in most cases. In fact, a shift to Samsung DeX will not add any new management tools. You can probably deploy DeX without a single change to your MDM or EMM configuration if you want. Samsung has also built a number of DeX management features into the Knox API, letting MDM and EMM tools adjust DeX configurations when needed. Managing smartphones has its own challenges. They tend to be lost and stolen more frequently, for example, and people like to store personal content like their photos and music on them. But overall, the cost of deploying and managing and securing 1,000 smartphones in a workplace is significantly lower than the cost for the same number of Windows desktop PCs. Another huge benefit of going mobile only is stronger security. This is an area where the smartphone vendors have really learned from their desktop peers. Now, Samsung's Galaxy smartphones are equipped with a full skill set of security features and capabilities, including application sandboxing, the ability to protect different application containers for work content and home consumer content. You also have a trusted execution environment within the hardware. You also get full disk encryption on the Samsung Galaxy phones, as well as biometric sensors to make it easier and more secure to authenticate and log in. There's also mandatory access controls and tight integration with MDM and EMM software agents. So it's not a question of adding, upgrading, or installing apps or tools. This is how Samsung Android phones with Knox come out of the box. With this stronger platform, you'll get fewer security incidents, you'll have tighter control on application-based malware, and overall it's a better approach to end-user computing security. So let's turn to businesses and a few mobile-only industry use cases. On the next slide, I'm going to show 3 different use cases. Now, the first use case is employees that hot desk. Now, flex work is the new reality in many businesses as employees increasingly split their time working from home and office. They also split their time between different company and client locations and also collaborate with different teams, or simply, employees, a lot of them are just on the go. So fixed cubicles are out and open spaces full of interchangeable, shareable hot desks, these are in. Organizations are offering next-level mobility to workers by deploying workstations equipped with a monitor, keyboard, and mouse, and a DeX adapter. Now, workers carrying Samsung smartphones with DeX can sit down, connect, and within seconds be up and running. Your hardware costs will shrink dramatically, as does all the time you need to deploy, manage, and secure these mobile endpoints. If you have a lot of employees who are only occasionally in the office, your real estate needs also went down as well. Use case number 2, police on the beat. Samsung DeX delivers in-vehicle computing by pairing Galaxy smartphones with a dash-mounted display and keyboard. This replaces the current really siloed combination of phones and radios and very expensive in-vehicle laptops. Officers now can use computer-aided dispatch and do all of their reporting from a smartphone. Samsung DeX optimizes their applications and information to make full use of the in-vehicle display rather than simply stretching the smartphone interface. And this allows critical information to be viewed quickly while also enabling officers to complete all tasks from wherever is most convenient. Beyond the squad car, DeX also allows officers to dock in to a workstation when they get back to their department office. Use case number 3, field service workers. Field service workers, they're naturally very mobile. They spend most of their day on the go, and typically they only come in to the office to file their daily reports at the end of the day. There's no reason for someone who only needs to access a workstation for an hour to be required to come into the office, though. You know, it's a really big drag on their productivity, especially if you think of these workers who live in places with really bad traffic, like where I live in the Bay Area. So today's workers, they would actually prefer to file their daily reports from the convenience of their home office using their smartphone and DeX. To make sure that's secure, your IT team can leverage a VDI solution such as VMware Horizon or Citrix Receiver to deliver this corporate desktop and data, while Samsung Knox, their management and containerization capabilities can keep the personal and work data separate. Now, listed on this slide are a number of Samsung resources that can dramatically ease and accelerate your mobile-only deployment. Say you're looking for help rolling out and managing thousands of devices or installing a new EMM. Samsung Knox's Quick Start services can help companies through initial deployment and equip you and your team with the tools and expertise needed to manage the new technology long term. Let's say you need to add support resources to ensure your help desk is ready to handle all these new business-critical smartphones. Samsung ProCare Technical Support offers multiple levels of technical support and can handle replacement, spares, and advanced device exchanges. Let's say you need to provide resources to application developers to speed up your transition to mobile or ensure that these apps are secure from the start. Samsung's application support services can provide developer training and consulting, or even handle custom application development themselves. Please download the white paper, A Guide to Going Mobile Only with DeX, for a more in-depth look at what we've talked through today. Now, in summary, mobile only, it's the future. It won't necessarily work for all users and all scenarios today, but a gradual deployment strategy that focuses on those teams that would most benefit from the upgrade, that can dramatically cut all of your costs managing your end-user computing devices. So the best way to get your organization moving forward to the future is to begin a pilot of Samsung DeX today. So check out the resources section here for even more information and links. On the Samsung DeX website, you'll be able to take a deep dive into how DeX works and exactly what you need to get started. If you'd like to learn more about what we talked about in this presentation, check out the Going Mobile Only with Samsung DeX white paper, which this webinar was based upon. Finally, learn how much you're actually spending on mobile devices today with our Enterprise Mobility Cost Calculator. Thank you, everyone, for attending this webinar. We're going to turn to the Q&A portion of it, and so please enter your questions into the box, and look forward to answering some questions now.